Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. We are, of course, out on the launch pad today with a DN6BL, and this is our completely mistextured, because I switched around the textures folder again, so we're just going to have gray textures for a minute. Anyway, this is our frame rate killer, the food missiles, snack bombs, however you want to quantify it, excessive part count, resupply pods for our Mars surface space, and relative inclination with the moon is as good as it's going to get, so we're going to get this show on the road. Ignition sequence. Insufficient resources. No. 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 Huh. Well, that's real interesting. That's really, really interesting. It didn't even stage these in, but our ignitions are gone. Oh, no! Come on! Alright, let's recover this. Since we can't roll it back. Ah, all those poor engine bells. Come on. Let me recover this dumb rocket. Let me recover this dumb rocket! Recover! Recover! I clicked it. It's gonna take a million years for the computer to catch up to me because the part count on this thing is just... it's stupid. Yes, we got data, we got our full refund, 341 grand. Mars Lab food missiles. So we need to build another one of those real fast. Oh, hey, would you look at that? It just... here it is. Well, I guess while we're here, we'll click through a couple of these textures. Yeah, that one's fine. And as for you... well, that's interesting. Interesting rendition of that texture. Bingo. We'll just make a match. Alright, 6 days. That puts it right at the outside of the window. Just barely. But we'll hit save. Yeah, 341 grand. We'll add these to the build list. Build. I wonder what our part count is on this. Let's wait for Kerbal Space Program to catch up with us here. There we go. What's our part count? 588. That's not bad. Build. We'll build a backup just in case. Oh. I'm pretty sure I verified all the engines were up to date when I made this thing. Yep, 172. Okay, good. So that means the HG3s are probably updated to their best configuration. Alright, and leave. Well, I guess we're launching resupply pods today. Alright, well, back finally on the launch pad. I guess we should set our target with the moon before we get this thing up and running. How long we got? 6.88 and falling. Oh, perfect. .31, we're just going to go ahead and launch because we're pressed for time. Of course we are. Alright, SAS is on, throttle is set to full, please work, ignition. Yes, good light. Clamps off, and our Hasselifter cargo variant is skyward bound. Now we do have 2 of these going out this window, so we'll probably do something interesting in editing. I have no idea what future me is going to do with this. So take it away, future me. Sorry, old me was probably feeling entirely too ambitious for how much he would get accomplished that day. And yeah, well, I'm a little mad at old me for reasons that we'll discuss a little bit later in the episode. But as it is right now, the Hassle Lifter is performing nominally, despite maybe me not pitching down quite enough. There's a lot of TWR available on this vehicle, and I just don't optimize it very well. I should be used to flying it, but most of the launches I've done with this thing have been on live stream, where I can't actually pay attention to what I'm doing, and the great shift between the high TWR with boosters versus the modest TWR after boosters, I really should be more accustomed to, considering that's how the DN series operates, but it's a little hard to grade in that curve, especially when you're really distracted by 10,000 other things. There's booster SEP and fairing SEP. They're all cleaning away. I am way higher than I should be, so we're just going to aim straight down the horizon and try to get ourselves as close to orbit as we can. We will activate our radiators that really should be on an action group, but they are not. There is a little bit of fuel tucked in this little tank right up here, tucked up under the heat shield, that I would like to have access to, or really I would like to be able to lock and unlock so that I can control using it, because we're going to need some thrusters to, one, angle into our node, and two, ullage the HG3s on the Hassle stage that will be lighting up here in, I don't know, 20 some odd seconds or so, 40 seconds of runtime. We're still a minute 20 away from our apogee, so we've actually got plenty of time we can work with, and we can actually afford to fall back to Earth by a little bit. Not the greatest maneuver, but we're still kind of within budget. Just need to make sure that all of our fuel tanks up here can be controlled for, and here's me trying to get my hands on that little tank. It proves pretty difficult, so after a while I will just abandon it, or trying to get my hands on it in its entirety. So we will be rounding out our circularization burn here momentarily. We're still only about 0.29 off the moon's inclination, although that really just, it doesn't do us any good since we are off plane with Mars, so just trying to stick close to that number is probably a completely pointless endeavor. It's just habit, I should say, and these old habits die hard, and it's really the only way I know how to fly, so I should probably investigate other methods of interplanetary transfers and see if there's some way I can compensate for being off plane. Anyway, there is our circularization burn, so now we will start plotting our way to Mars, just to make sure we're picking the correct target here, and plot our node. So there it is, about 20 some odd minutes away, and then we'll start to get ourselves angled in. It was right about here that I took a quick save and paused the game to walk away to take care of some family things, and then I came back later to complete the ejection burn and forgot to press record. How typical. Anyway, I'll just let you know how it ends here with this screenshot I managed to take. The ELE engine failed with about 70 meters per second to go left on our burn. Yeah, so that supply pod will never ever make it to Mars, unfortunately. So we do need both resupply pods to get there in order to refuel Chestnut, so that the crew can have enough fuel to get home at the end of their mission. Now, they should have enough life support on hand to make it through to another Mars window so that they can be resupplied, but it's going to be a little bit tight. So, in hopes of getting this done, we will be refitting a Victor resupply pod. These are typically the ones that we land on the moon for resupplying our lunar surface base, but since other critical hardware there is out of commission, we will be repurposing this craft and this already built launcher for use elsewhere. Now, this is just a DN5, not the Premier DN6, so it is a little lighter duty than I guess what we are prepared for. So this resupply pod will be much smaller, in fact, than even the one we just tried and failed to launch, very unfortunately. So first step here is to get an idea of our ratios for kerosene and liquid oxygen, which means we're going to very temporarily mount this engine to the bottom and try to gauge it out and see what our tonnage looks like. This DN5 has a capacity of right around 100 tons Transmars injection. That's a little lower. Really, before optimizations and before all the changes, it was somewhere between 50 and 75 tons. Even 100 tons is kind of pushing the limits, and that was always considering an Aero captured maneuver at Mars, which means we do need to spend a not insignificant portion of our budget mass on a heat shield. But yeah, anyway, so we used that tank and figured out how much kerosene, how much liquid oxygen we need to carry, because we're going to put them in two separate tanks. The kerosene we can put in a balloon tank, since boil off isn't really an issue there, but the liquid oxygen we do need to put in a service module tank to help mitigate some of that boil off as best we can. And then, of course, another balloon tank for the Aerozine 50 and nitrogen tetroxide for the experimental lander engine that sees a lot of use on things not landers. And we'll start to create this little cupcake here. It does lack some of the nicer amenities of the more well-researched pods, but its tonnage is such that we can warrant using these larger thruster ports. Of course, once we configure them for Aerozine and nitrogen tetroxide. Those four smaller tanks at the bottom are pressurized. That is to control the thrusters. Without a pressurized tank, they don't do us a whole lot of good. So thrusters for ullage, thrusters for pitch and yaw, and then thrusters for translational control, and all of that should be set. We just need to give it some means of powering itself and antenna comms of such. So we'll tuck that in. We'll tuck that in just to, I don't know, clean up the look a little bit. And this here is a shielded tank. It will carry accessory fuel also, but this is really, its main purpose is to help sink the heat that will translate through the heat shield as it is making an aero capture maneuver. Of course, we don't need a whole lot of ablator on that, so that does save us some tonnage, but we do need something to keep all of that superheated air that we will be encountering off the primary hull of the spacecraft. So twin short-range comms, twin long-range comms, and some struts just to make sure everything stays attached as we are screaming through the atmosphere at many kilometers per second. I don't even know what our capture maneuver is going to look like, but it will probably be rough. So a very, very basic paint job, a renaming, a reattachment of a rocket, and a quick check over of our Delta V figures, a reattachment of the fairing, and that's that. We'll get this added to the build list. It won't take too long, and hopefully we'll get it out this window. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see all of you in the next one. So until then, see you later.